What's good, y'all? It's your boy Third Degree. We're back with more Ratchet news. Well, some of it's ratchet, some of it's not, but we still got to speak on it. So let's go. Tonight's Ratchet news is brought to you by Melba's, home of the $10 plates. This weekend, get 5 pieces of chicken, 2 sides, all for $10. Make sure you visit Melba's in San Bernardino, California. Now let's get on to the Ratchet. Well, June 25th marked the 16th anniversary of the passing of Michael Jackson, so RIP to him. He is forever missed, the king of pop, the greatest entertainer of all time. So let's get into some ratchetness. Well, the orange guy, Trump announces that U.S. has attacked Iran. This was sometime earlier in the week. And it's crazy because he hasn't even been in office for 6 months and we're already entering into some stuff, man. But that's him. Moving on. Well, real quick, and before that, before we go, some people actually are calling for his impeachment. But hey, if he controls the House, the Senate, and the judicial, it's with impeachment, right? Moving on. Red Lobster's big comeback, seafood boil bags, and grill flights and $5 drinks hit the menu. So will you be checking it out? Moving on. Yeah, Kamala, you did say it was coming. Moving on. Also, shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder for being the 2024-2025 NBA champs. Much salute. They well deserved. And shout out to Indiana Pacers, especially what's homeboy's name? Tyrese. Mad props to him. You were a soldier. You will be back next year. Moving on. Well, before we go, man, his injury was crucial, but he went out like a soldier, man. But he will bounce back. He's a talented guy. And he has a bright future in the NBA. Moving on. Shout out to Sammy Sosa for deciding to become black again. Moving on. Charleston White smacks Island Boy before a match, then makes him quit in round 2 at an Aiden Ross boxing event. Charleston White, someone needs to beat the bricks off that dude, right? Now he's going to be thinking he's the ish. Moving on. B. Simone gets candid about money struggles. I'm so broke, I have to shop at H&M instead of Bloomingdale's. Who the funk is B. Simone? We're going to talk about this too in the show. Moving on. Nick Cannon struggles to name all 12 of his kids. Well, yeah, if you have like 15,000 of them, I don't blame him. Moving on. Speaking of kids, Joey Badass and Soraya welcomed their baby boy into the world. I wonder if he named him Kendrick. But moving on. Speaking of Kendrick, his verse on the Clips album leaked, and when I tell you that boy spitting, I can't wait for this album. July 11th, Clips. Let's get it. Moving on. Fitness influencer and her date killed unalived by her estranged husband in Fontana. Crazy, right? Prayers to her and her family. Moving on. Frisco track meet stabbing suspect Carmelo Anthony is indicted with first-degree murder. I wonder how this is going to play out. My prayers going out to everybody in that situation. Moving on. Man linked to Palm Springs fertility clinic bombing, unalived in federal custody. Suspicious might it be, right? Moving on. Keke Palmer calls out double standards for women who date men with less money. We're going to talk about this next week. Moving on. Tiffany Haddish sparks outrage after saying women with multiple baby daddies might be mentally ill. And this is going to be another topic that we talk about tonight on the show. We will unpack that because I know single women or with no kids or who are mentally. It's another story. Moving on. After 50 years from their debut, the Jacksons return with an album that feels like a farewell. I mean, they don't really have a whole lot of members left, so it might be that time. So I'm anxious to see what they got going, and I will support it. Moving on. Candace Owens is now embarrassed she told supporters to vote for Trump. Well, we're embarrassed that you say you share the same skin color hue as us. You know what I'm saying? Stay over with them. We don't want you over here, you square lame duck. You know what I mean? Moving on. Corona police smashed window to rescue baby boy left in 110-degree weather. What are you doing? Stupid parents. I hope they locked them up, right? Moving on. The Simpsons season 36 finale ends with Marge's unaliving? What? Crazy. Why? Moving on. Beekeeper sets bees loose on police that pulled them over for traffic stops. Right. Moving on. Even in spirit, Whitney Houston scores new RIAA milestone as The Bodyguard joins top 15 certified albums in U.S. history. Salute to Whitney Houston, RIP. Moving on. Love and Hip Hop, New York Peter Guns and Amina Butterfly back in headlines as Amina reveals she and her daughters are homeless. Our prayers out to her. I actually did a song with her and her sister, you know what I mean? So always gonna send love to them. Moving on. T-Pain says Drake didn't follow his own advice to gracefully exit music industry. I don't think Drake should leave. He still makes good music, you know, for those that consume it. You know, he's a good songmaker, but yeah, I understand what T-Pain is saying, and especially like now, he just needs to lay low and come back with some hits. Moving on. Well, not to add salt to injury, but Kendrick Lamar says his Grand National Tour is the highest grossing co-headline tour of all time. Salute to both of them. TDE, stand up. But speaking of Kendrick, Temple University's new course examines Kendrick Lamar's life, influence, and musical legacy. I think he is the seed that Tupac sparked, or the brain that Tupac sparked, you know? Hey, shout out to him. Moving on. Multimillionaire Simone Gudibibia says he regrets marrying Portia Williams after their divorce within 15 months of being ordered to pay her $40,000 a month for the next 15 months. He must not like women, because Portia is... But I get what he's trying to say, though. 40 a month is crazy, right? Moving on. Speaking of, Monica Lewinsky gets real. I loved him, but it was an abuse of power. Okay, whatever. Moving on. Closing remarks in the Diddy case are done. And Diddy addressed the court, declines to testify, praises judge for doing an excellent job. Man, he's the cocky son of a biscuit, right? I don't know, man. But speaking of just dumb, right? Kanye West and Diddy's son Christian, or King Combs, released a new album. You talk about way to exploit your father's child. This man might be going away for the rest of his life, and you decide to drop music. I guess that boy is a few seeds short of an apple, right? And an apple don't far from the tree. But hey, moving on. Heinz and Mustard unveined limited edition mustard sauce, and I will be buying and supporting it, right? Moving on. Maryland daycare owner Chantrell Young, who has been released from prison early. She's the one who unalived her husband after she found out he was abusing those kids. And yeah, she should have definitely been released sooner, because it was a passion crime. She loved those kids. She loved those babies. You know what I'm saying? And sad story all around, but I'm glad she's free. Moving on. Pentagon strips Harvey Milk's name from Navy ship on Pride weekend. Cold world, right? Moving on. Talk about two people who don't need to breathe. Antonio Brown and Whoa Vicky. Two dummies. Hey, moving on. Yo, shout out to my pops for pulling up Marquez's Boss's Brunch event. Supporting him. Loves him like his son, man. Much love to both of y'all. Moving on. Last but not least, Nas partners with Resorts World for $5 billion Queens casino expansion inspired by Las Vegas. Shout out to him. That's the reason why he hadn't been responding to Jim Jones or anybody else or Young Noble. He out here making boss moves. You know what I'm saying? Getting his paper up. And as you should, King. Salute. Well, that's all I got. Anyway, I'm your boy Third Degree, and that's been your Ratchet News. Enjoy the show.